You feeling lucky, punk? I am not either. Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. This is Zach over at ND Woodworks. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're building a prop space gun. This is Malcolm Reynolds' gun from the TV series Firefly, and this is in support of Punished Props hitting 100,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. So a bunch of us are doing this, sending in video, and they're going to put together a little montage video in celebration of them hitting a huge milestone. So congratulations to Punished Props for a well-deserved 100,000 subscribers, huge milestone. So, for this build, I used EVA foam for the majority of the gun, the handle and the kind of stock. I did a lot of, or used a lot of little Alumilite cutoff pieces, scrap stuff that I had laying around for a lot of the little fiddly bits and things on the gun. And the barrel is made out of Alumilite as well, and this was a good chance for me to test out something that Alumilite sells called Microballons. It's a product that's kind of a powder additive that you can add to the resin, and it makes the casting lighter as well as makes it buoyant. So I really had no reason to try it out necessarily, not a good reason. I figured for this, being, if I'm going to make the barrel out of, Alumilite, it's going to be kind of front heavy. So I figured Microballons, I'll just throw that in there and see how that stuff works. So a lot of this video is going to be kind of focused on the microballoon, the casting part of the barrel. But I'm going to kind of give a very general synopsis of the build in general, of how I did everything. So let's get started on the build. All right, so to begin, I just grabbed some floor mats that I got over at Harbor Freight for cheap, applied the templates that Punished Props provided, and just rough cut all the parts out on the bandsaw. I did the same thing with all the little accessory and fiddly bits, I like to call them. I used Alumilite for all of that stuff. They were just scraps that I had laying around. And again, just applied the templates and then rough cut them on the bandsaw. Once I had the parts rough cut, there were a few parts that I needed to glue together for the main body of the gun and the handle. Once all the parts were together, it was time to start shaping it. Now I used a variety of different things to shape all the parts. For the most part with the foam, I did bulk wasting away of material using motorized sanders. I used the Dremel tool as well as belt and disc sanders to kind of hog off material. Then to fine tune everything, I found that rasps, files, and sandpaper just kind of refined all of those curves. For the Alumilite parts, for the most part, I belt sanded, but then also used some hand planes as well as chisels, and then just kind of hand sanded everything to get all the shaping that I wanted. Once all the parts were shaped pretty well, then it was time to start attacking the barrel that I was going to be making out of Alumilite with Microballons. All right, so we're over in the casting area now, reading this jar, the instructions. The way this works is you can mix in 100% of this by volume. So whatever the volume of resin is, you can use the same amount of volume of Microballons. So what I have is I have two single blank, they're about 1 inch by 1 inch by about 6 inches long. I have two of these guys, and that's what we're going to be using to make the blank. Now the gun barrel is a hexagonal, about a 4.5 inch long barrel, and then there's a kind of a larger hexagon, but only about an inch long piece at the end. So we should be able to get the entire part out of one of these castings. But what I'm going to do is I'm also going to just cast another casting without Microballons so that we can see what the weight difference actually is. I just want to understand how this product really works. Now I'm going to be using Alumilite white resin for these, for the part, and we're going to be comparing that. But one thing I also want to do is I want to just pour some clear, so I'll probably be using Alumilite slow set clear because that's what I have on hand, and just do the same process and see what it looks like inside the clear. So we'll have a couple of tests here, we'll learn a little bit about the product and hopefully get a good prop part. All right, so we got our Alumilite white in the cups. This is part B, part A. These two cups I'm going to fill with the Microballons. Now I've put a little line on there. This cup goes with that one goes with that one, so you can put 100%, it says 100% of the volume max. So I'm just going to start loading these cups up with this little spoon. Now one thing that I have a feeling is going to happen is it's going to increase the volume of the casting. So I have 100 grams total with the part A and part B, but I think that putting this in each of the cups is going to probably make more resin in the end. So I'm going to have a spare mold ready for any excess. I'll just use a PVC pipe for any excess. I don't want to go too far over. So we're getting close here on the part B. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this into each part first. All right, so I've dumped the micro pearl into each part A and part B. The part A is a little bit thicker, I would say, than it was, maybe. And they both look kind of like milk or something. It made it kind of white. Now, one thing I'm going to do, because I need to paint the parts, I'm going to add a little bit of black dye to the part A right now. Just basically a couple drops. Hopefully that'll kind of turn it gray. Alumilite white resin is going to turn out white normally if you just mix part A and part B. But because I'm going to be painting the part that I'm making, I would rather have it be darker because I'm going to paint it a darker color. So this will just kind of help the painting process. All right, so I think we're ready to pour the part B into part A and get this casting going. I'm going to try and scrape as much of this into the cup as possible. I don't want to leave too much of this part B in the cup. I did go over a little bit, but just because I knew that some would stay in the cup, but I want to try and get most of it. Now you're going to want to stir this up real nice. Scrape the edges, the bottom of the cup. Make sure you're not leaving any part A or part B unmixed. And we'll get this in the pressure pot. All right, so we got our blanks. I've cut them to the same size. They're about 13/16 square by 6 inches. So this is the Alumilite white. There's none of the micro balloons in it, and it comes in at about 72 grams. The one with micro balloons, same size, that's about 63 grams. So we've shed some weight. It's not like half the weight or anything like that, but it has shed some grams off there. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is I had a little bit of a cutoff here. I kind of screwed up the first one, but putting this little guy in water, it does float, whereas just a normal pen blank Sierra style size, so about the same size, it just sunk to the bottom. So we have some advantages with this stuff, but I'm definitely going to be using the one with micro balloons, the lighter one, for the barrel of the gun in this prop. But I just kind of wanted to share this little test, see how these things work, and you know, kind of what you guys can expect. Now I also did pour some clear. I did a test with Alumilite Slow Set Clear. What it does is it basically makes it white, opaque. Just for looks, and it does also lighten it. Now these are about 3/4 inch square, just Alumilite Slow Set Clear. That was about 60 grams, whereas the micro balloons has dropped it to 53 grams. So a little bit of weight savings there in the clear, and a little bit of a different look at it. So anyway, let's get back to the build, and we'll finish up Malcolm Reynolds' gun. Once I had my blank made, then it was time to cut the octagon shape into the barrel and then drill out the center. To attach the barrel to the gun, I decided that a post that was glued on in the foam as well as in the barrel would be the best way to go. I drilled a hole through the barrel that would fit a slimline pen tube, and then using a heated up slimline pen tube, I also punctured a hole into the foam. Then I just used CA glue and then glued the entire thing together. So far, it's holding up extremely well too. Once I had everything assembled, then it was time to sand and sand and sand. And again, I used Alumilite. I just painted on some Alumilite white, thin coats, to kind of fill in some of the little voids and things like that, and then sand it back smooth. With a few little minor touch-ups here and there, it was ready to be primed and then painted. Once the gun was fully painted with the bronze, Then it was time to go back and start grunging it up. So I decided to use some acrylic paint. I mixed up some burnt umber and added a little bit of blue to that to darken it. And that kind of gave it a nice dark brown color. And then I just kind of dry brushed the acrylic paint on, wiped off any excess, and it kind of gave it that weathered look. I left a lot more of the brown down on the handle to make sure that it kind of gave it a little bit more of a wood look to it. I decided to leave a couple of the Alumilite pieces the way that they were. They had really awesome colors to it, and I thought that would just add a little bit of NV Woodworks flair to this piece. The final touches were adding the set screws and these round parts. Now I chose to kind of change things up a little bit, and these RCA jacks were just the perfect size for that part, and so I just decided to leave them fully round and then glue them in place, and they worked perfect. But overall, really fun build. I'm proud of this, and I want to thank Punish Props again for supplying all the materials, the templates, for having a video on how Bill put his together, so I could see kind of what to expect and all that stuff. So I had a great time. Congratulations to Punish Props. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, definitely leave those down below. Head over to Punish Props and check out their channel if you're interested in prop making, because Bill and Britt over there do a fabulous job with all of their videos. So in the end, I had a blast making this thing. This was really fun. It was fun to experiment with different things, learn a little bit about those micro balloons, and get a little bit of experience foam smithing. But I think overall I was just really excited that this was a Firefly prop that we were building. I love that TV show. So my question to you guys is, who's your favorite character from Firefly? I think mine, I'm going to have to go with Jane probably, but really it's tough. That's a tough one. Who's your favorite? So if you guys have any favorite characters, definitely leave those in the comments below. If you have any comments or questions other than that, leave those down in the comments section also. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I post a lot of stuff, what I'm up to in the shop over there. And make sure you check out the live streaming on Twitch, where I do casting and some turning, and we cast some random materials and see what happens, basically. It's a really fun time. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.